Hey everybody, Justin from the camera shop of Muskegon. It is Wednesday, hump day, and you know what day it is, right? It's our Wednesdays with Olympus. And I'm here with Olympus's very own Mike Amico. Thanks for joining us today, Mike.
Thanks, Justin. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. How you doing?
Doing all right. It's been a long day. We're getting some flooding down here, and so the road's gone, but it's
The road.
good.
Well, there,
It's
like
gone.
you know, where we're going, Michael, we don't need roads, right?
We don't need roads. I can use a kayak right now.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, get a canoe. You'll be fine. You don't need a road.
When I
Um,
race my RC car, it's gone. It's a
yeah,
lake.
oh, is it? Well, it
Yeah,
maybe if you
it's
can
that
go,
time of year.
well, if you can get going fast enough, you can hydroplane it across the water, right?
Sure, why not?
So,
Ugh,
so this week we've got a couple things to talk about.
sure.
Um, even I have to kind of remember what we're talking about.
Well,
Um,
today I think we're kind of mixing it up a little bit. It's more of
yeah,
just a discussion, a conversation about Olympus and maybe how it fits into your lifestyle, maybe a little bit about the history of Four Thirds or Mirrorless. I thought we'd kind of mix it up a little and also some of the promos we got going on currently.
yeah. The promos are the big thing. That's the thing I'm
Yeah,
excited about. But we'll kind of start with the history. Now, for anyone who's tuning in, this is an open Q&A, so we just encourage you guys to. I'm going to type this out actually.
yeah. I wasn't able to find some of the slides I was looking for today, you guys. I had an idea in my head, but I ran into some other things, so did my best to put together a mishmash, I guess you could say, of a presentation. But it's okay. It gives us something to discuss a little bit and talk about, look at.
If I can spell today. Questions. Yeah. All right. So, we've got some people already saying some stuff. We got Jason saying, "Are you sure that's Mike or is that Aaron Lewis?" I
And he
don't know
had
who
to
that
say that.
is.
I'm missing my guitar too. He's a singer, guitar
Um,
player.
but you are looking good, Mike. I mean, we got John Thomas. He says, "Hi guys, Mike, looking more like yourself."
Yep, it's coming in.
And we got Bert Armstrong is saying, "Howdy, folks. Howdy, Bert. Thanks for tuning in." And Richard's saying, "Hi, hello, Rich. How you doing?"
Hey guys. All right.
So, we thought we would, outside of it being an open Q&A for you guys, I mean, that's what we do every week, but we wanted to really kind of put an emphasis on it this week because, hey, we might not fill up our entire hour because, at some point you kind of run out of things to talk about. But what we wanted to really kind of talk about today was kind of like the history on Olympus and how it works for you. And then we've got a special announcement for the gearheads out there or someone who might be interested in getting into an Olympus system. We also have a hello to all from Mr. Carl Barnowski.
Nice.
Barnowski.
Hey Carl.
Carl's a good guy. Like Carl, haven't seen him in a while. Of course, you can't. We can now. Thursday, tomorrow, Michael. We're back to normal for the most part.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So we can have. There's no restrictions on who can be in the store.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think you still have to practice safe social distancing, so I think they're still asking people to wear masks and stuff like that. But we don't have to sign in. You guys, we're open for your business. We want to see you. Come say hi. Um, it's been lonely the last couple months. I haven't had anyone to talk to.
Yeah, it's been a little bit crazy. So
Oh,
so I put together like a little. It's more of a
you got a little
it's
ditty
a
for us?
it's a mix. I mean, I
Yeah.
have a really cool slide. You've seen it before. It shows a little bit of the history, and I lost it. I can't find it,
Okay.
but I have some other stuff that I thought was kind of fun that I found.
Yeah.
Um, some of it goes back before I was with Olympus, and then some of it is newer. And so it's just more discussion points as far as the presentation. So,
Okay.
so if you want, I could bring that up. We could start
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about it a little
Let's
bit.
share your screen, my
A
friend.
lot of you guys know all this stuff, but it's just again, just something to
It's
enjoy.
well,
So
it's like when you do a podcast, you got to come up with things to talk about, and this is just kind of going over, a little bit of what makes Olympus special here.
so tell me if you can see this.
Yep. Yep. We're full screen. We're ready to rock, my friend.
All right. So some of the things we do, right? We have our accessories, we have our OMD and our pen cameras. Um, Obviously we have our tough cameras, our lenses, our audio products. A lot of people forget about the voice recorders. We have professional and consumer voice recorders. We actually started the micro cassette recorder back in, I believe, 1969.
Wow.
I believe that was the first one. Yeah. So binoculars, obviously professional cameras as well.
And
So
and real quick before you get too far, like that audio
yeah,
recording
yeah.
stuff, that's actually kind of like a perfect pairing when you're doing video because
Oh yeah,
you can use a microphone outside of the ones that are connected to the device, right? So I could hook up a mic to it and feed that mic
yeah,
into the recorder, and that way
yeah. The
I
LS. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no no yeah, so that way I could cut my audio separate, so I could record like noises that I'm hearing and direct it into that, and then cut it with my footage.
Right. We have the LSP4 now. It's nice and small, tiny little voice recorder, and it actually has FLAC recording. It's a very good digital recording. It's lossless technology.
Nice.
It's better than like CD quality sound. So you're looking at something that's tiny that'll fit in your hot shoe, and it just gives you great audio. So it is another option. A lot of guys now, they use their headphones. They record to a whatever they do, they record internally or whatever. But this allows you to really capture a nice audio. So yeah, the voice recorders are great. I mean, they're still out there, and obviously with the phones and stuff, a lot of people generally have gotten away from voice recorders, but it's still a great market, man. We pretty much do really well in that market still. So Micro Four Thirds, a lot of times we buy the cameras and we don't really sort of understand, the history or what we do with these things or why we did them or what have you. But one of the slides just kind of tells you that how the name Micro Four Thirds format refers to the lens mount. And so 4/3 refers to the sensor size. So, we had our old 4/3 cameras and they were DSLRs, and they were as close as you can get to a mirrorless camera with a mirror box. And basically the Micro Four Thirds was named because it allows us to make a camera smaller, hence micro. And I think that the initial reaction, a lot of people thought that the sensor was smaller also than the original
Hmm.
4/3 sensor. It was still the same sensor. It was just the mount changed, and because they can make the camera smaller, they called it Micro Four Thirds format. So um, 4/3 sensor, base aspect ratio of 4:3. Lens mount is larger than the image circle. So you get corner to corner sharpness, edge to edge, right? The light hits it. You get light all around that sensor. You have what's called a digital specific camera. So I'll get into that a little bit. Pretty cool. So Olympus has a telecentric lens design. So this is something that you're starting to see it a lot more now. I mean, this is something we created back with the E series. We were the first ones to do this back then with this stuff, where your lens is almost like basically flat in a sense. The way the light comes in that lens, it's going to hit that sensor directly from all angles and cover that whole sensor with that mount, because the mount's 2 times larger than the sensor. So that again, you're getting light all the way around. You have that edge to edge sharpness. Whereas a non-telecentric lens, your light's going to be kind of coming in from different angles. When it was filmed back in the day and you had your SLRs and what have you, it made more sense for that. But now with digital, having a sensor makes more sense for that light to hit direct. And you're seeing that now with like Nikon and Canon, for instance, with their
Hmm.
new mounts, right? They made their mounts larger than the sensor. Um, I know everybody didn't want to see the old mounts go away, but the reality is that they did it right. They did it right with a new mount was the way to go to get that light to hit that sensor 90 degrees all the way around, so that you can create those lenses that are designed for digital. And so here's what you have.
What's the
We began in
advantage?
2000.
What's the advantage of the light falling at 90 degrees? For the
Well, the idea
what
is
does that
that
mean for the image?
Well, the idea is that when you're 90 degrees like that, you're going to allow that light to hit it directly all the way around. Your light's not coming in from different angles. And as far as the sensor being a flat plane, I
Hmm.
believe that that's where it has something to do with that sensor being flat like that, where it just that light hitting it, it keeps it nice and even all the way
Hmm.
across and all the way around. And so straight on to hit those pixels, because you have those pixels in there, right?
Yeah.
It's not really like film in a sense. So before we had to wait for the mirror to pop up, mirror goes down, what have you. Your light comes in, it has to hit an autofocus sensor. It's got to bounce off a mirror over here. The mirror comes up. I mean, there was different angles the light had to go, different things it had to do, right? It doesn't have to do that anymore. So we started doing that in 2000. So we were the first ones in the industry to do that. So, it was another first from Olympus, and it's something that a lot of people are starting to follow now or have followed because it works. So very innovative. Olympus is a very innovative company. They've done a lot of things that they were world's first, and you'll see that with a lot of the smaller companies where they have to innovate, right? They have to innovate to survive. And so with Olympus, it's things like, the TTL, in the camera, or, I believe they were the first, possibly the first weatherproof, if I'm right. I could be wrong on that, but I know the first live view, which was on the E1, I believe, the DSLR, where you had live view on the back of the screen. So a lot of different things that they've done that that help the industry. The industry does that and perfects it, and things like that. And that's what we all do. So everybody's needed because everybody helps everybody in a sense to better the industry for all of us. This just kind of shows the difference of the size. We talked about that before, Justin. So it's a tough conversation because when you talk about equivalence, one of the things that Micro Four Thirds was designed around was to make a smaller system, a smaller camera body, and a smaller lens. And your camera bodies now, mirrorless, are about the same size, right? They're not much different in size between the sensor sizes now. But the lens design is different. We can still make these lenses that are a lot smaller than the comparative lens when it comes to equivalent focal length. And it's a tough discussion because a lot of people like to argue about it, and that's fine. I mean, that's their prerogative, but the industry has created an equivalence, and it's all based on a 35 millimeter size sensor. And that's everything from a point and shoot camera to a zoom camera that's all in one, to an interchangeable lens camera. We have equivalent focal lengths, and we equate them to a 35 millimeter. Even your medium format, you equate to a 35 millimeter. So this is an example of my 300 millimeter f4, which equates to a 600 millimeter equivalent focal length at f4. And that's the other thing. You're still getting f4 because the format is 4/3. So that amount of light that you're getting is still the same. Your depth of field is different because of where you're standing and what that is in the system, which is a 300 millimeter, but it equates to the same equivalent focal length or look of a 600 millimeter. So you're able to get out there and really reach out there with a pro lens like that handheld, which is pretty amazing. And you could do it with the other lenses, but you're gonna be hurting, after a few years of doing that. So it's a real thing, man. It really is a real thing. When you have wedding photographers and, for years they're carrying a lot of cameras, a lot of equipment, and they start to have issues with their shoulders and their backs and things like that. So there is a place for a smaller system like that. And that's where 4/3 shines, But for us, I think it really shines to me more when you're in the outdoors, when you want to hike or you want to travel, you take the camera with you.
Mm-hmm.
So again, the portability, I love this graphic, so I wanted to show that. Kind of shows more the size. Now this is a DSLR example as opposed to a mirrorless. So you're seeing the size of a DSLR body and then, your bigger lens. But still shows that basic size comparison there. So again, some of the Micro Four Thirds advantages. These actually now, Justin, I would say this is an older slide. I would say this is more a mirrorless advantage, which, a mirrorless advantage and Micro Four Thirds. So Micro Four Thirds mirrorless, you're looking at smaller, lighter cameras and lenses. Yeah. Closer focusing than 35 millimeter system lenses. That's a huge advantage on 4/3. It's almost every lens you have a closer focusing distance. I mean, you could take my 17 millimeter and get really close. You could take the 7-14 and get super close. It's a really great system for macro and for close-up shooting. And so that really helps out a lot. The most effective in-body image stabilization. And I don't know who wrote that, but then full-frame cameras. That doesn't make sense, that sentence. But it is the most effective. It is the best image stabilizer in the industry. And that is because of the smaller sensor, because you can actually shrink that system down. The sensor floats, and when you have a smaller sensor in those small bodies, you have more room to move. And so any stabilizer is awesome. That's hands down, right? It's always been like that. For the last probably 10 years, the stabilizers have just gotten amazing. And any of them are really good. But the Olympus, hands down, right now has probably the best, or one of the best in the industry. And part of that is because of that size. It's something we can do to really move that sensor around in the body. So in concert with that, the ability to hand hold the camera with more stability. So being a smaller, lighter camera with the lens and the camera combined, and you're able to hand hold the camera. So again, telecentric lens designs, right? And then you have your EVF advantages. Now this is all mirrorless systems, right? The EVF advantage of, composing a preview, composing your art filters, composing anything. You're looking at your menu through the EVF. That's huge. Mm-hmm. And once you get into mirrorless, you see that, and I say this because, I've been doing this for about 12 years mirrorless. I mean, I've been doing the industry for 20 years, and I've watched it and I've done this, and a lot of these things I jump over because I forget that, now we're kind of all going mirrorless. And so some of this stuff seems like it's repetitive, but we've been doing this since 2008, 2009. So It's been a long time.
I did wanted to add this in because you're getting ready. Bert Armstrong just kind of threw this out here. He goes,
"Yeah, because I can't
I
see."
do 15. So. He goes, "I do 15 seconds handheld with an EM1 Mark II and a 7 to 14 awesome. On a regular basis." And that's something that you can't beat. Now I don't go that long, but I know when the EM1 Mark II first came out, that was kind of the first thing that a lot of people touted, was that it could do the 15 seconds. So I think that's amazing.
Bert must be a non-coffee drinker, because I could do maybe a second if I'm lucky. I'm I'm comfortable with like a tenth of a second. I mean, I've gone out with customers where we've actually had challenges, and we've tried to see who could do the longest with different cameras, and I'm like tenth of a second. And then one of my guys next to me with an EM1 II at the time, a couple of years ago, I think he got like, what did he have? He had like 6 seconds or something. And then I have another friend out there who's got a Fuji at the time. It was an XT2 or an XT. It wasn't the 3 yet. I think it was a 2. No stabilization. And he got like 8 seconds. He's doing like a yoga pose, kind of sitting down there, and so I think a lot of it, you could definitely hand hold. The average on that camera, I think now is about 4 seconds that people are hand holding, with the 12 to 100 especially. But you can, if you're stable, you can hold the camera pretty steady, but then you combine that with that stabilizer. And I mean, you go for a hike and you leave your tripod at home, and it's so freeing to not have to have it with you, and in the back of your head to not have to really worry about it. You're like, you know what, if I see a waterfall, I can kind of throw on the neutral density or use the live ND and just kind of play a little bit, and I can get it. So it's kind of freeing sometimes, though I still love a good tripod, and typically I'll take one with me if I go on a trip to do that stuff. But there's times I go hike and I don't want to carry it. I just don't feel like it. I don't want it to be a burden, and this is where the system really shines. So what I'm showing here, Justin, is just 4 elements for superb image quality, and really this is in every system, not just the 4/3 format. The image sensor, the lens, and the processor. I mean, those are really your 3 key elements to any great digital camera system in my mind. It's having a high quality lens combined with a good processor and a good image sensor. And when you combine those 3 in a system, you got some great image quality. And then it's really up to you. Everything else is kind of gravy, right? I mean, it's all the fun stuff. For Olympus, it's computational, things like that. The image stabilizer we throw in there because we've perfected it so much that becomes part of our image quality. That becomes part of our superb image quality. So,
and that goes back to Bert's 15 seconds handheld, which he did say a max of 3 cups a day. Anything over 6 seconds, he has to lean his bum on something. And Oren said, "Bring your challenge on, Mike."
That's you, Oren. Oren's here.
Yeah.
Oren's the one that got it. Was it 8 seconds, Oren? With the XT2, I think it was. Yeah, Oren's got the yoga down, man. He's like, he did a little breathing technique. and he kind of, and he killed us all. There, he can confirm that. That's great. All right, so next one. So the high-speed image sensor, right? That's part of your image quality, right? So for us, we use a live MOS sensor. That's what we call it. Um,
He
you know,
says, by the way, I hate to interrupt, but he says 30-second Tai Chi for the win.
it's true. It's great. Um, the Micro Four Thirds, it allows us to be smaller, lighter, more compact, but also allows us to enable a lot more advanced technologies. And with that, I believe you're looking at that computational stuff, right? Like we have the live neutral density built into the EM1 Mark III and EM1X. That's a great feature. The handheld high res, which a lot of people are incorporating that now in all the camera systems. But the live ND and things of that nature, having that smaller sensor, being able to really process it fast because it's smaller, allows us to really come out with some of this stuff and really, have a lot of these features in the cameras. So definitely helps there. Talking about the supersonic wave filter, so the self-cleaning sensor. This is something that came out in 2003. We were the first ones to do it. It's when you turn the camera on and when you turn it off, it actually has an ultrasonic motor. It actually shakes the dust off of the sensor. And in the newer cameras, like the EM5 III, the EM1 III, the EM1X, we've actually updated it to be even like 10% better. And it was already better. You rarely have to get an Olympus sensor clean. If you go to our clean and checks, you'll find that they'll check it. And if it's dirty, they'll clean it. But a lot of times you really don't have to worry about it as long as you're taking care of your camera as you normally do. It shakes off dust. Now, if you have something really stubborn or you sneeze on the sensor, of course you're going to have to get it cleaned or clean it. But for the most part, I mean, I haven't had issues. I've had it here and there. I might have something on my sensor. I turn it off, turn it on, it's gone. So I've had some really good luck. But again, if you have something that's stubborn, it will need to be cleaned. But man, I'll bet the Olympus are in a lot less. It just seems like it works really well. And this is basically this is what it looks like. So let's see if this comes across, Justin, or if my, is it looking okay?
Yep,
there
here we go.
It's cool, right? So did you see that little piece of dust on there? I could do that again if you want.
Yeah, do it again. That was dust? I thought it was a drop of water.
Oh, it's a drop of water. Yeah, check that out.
That's crazy. That drop of water it blows it up.
It just blows it right up. That's that supersonic. Boom.
Boop. Crazy.
Shakes that dust off.
Shakes it off. It throws it right off the end of the sensor onto the back of the lens or something. Just doosh.
I had another part of this this presentation I'm doing, by the way, that didn't show up. I think it just didn't mesh. So I'll show you guys after. But so 80 years of innovation, right, in optical technologies. So actually it's and we're 100 years old. So I mean, definitely an amazing set of lenses. I think we're up to, I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember, but with the pro lenses, I mean, we're just climbing and climbing and climbing more with the amount of pro lenses we have. And of course you can use, the Panasonic lenses as well. There's more companies, third party, that are bringing them out, the Sigmas. So there's more coming on board, especially with video centric lenses. So that's always a good thing for 4/3. There's a lot of lenses to choose from. Now, the one thing is, and we've talked about this before, the Panasonic, they interchange on both camera systems, but sometimes there's just a couple of things on both systems. And I think it's because we work with this computational stuff, both Panasonic and Olympus, and we're two different companies. So the 4/3 mount is what keeps us, together, but they're separate companies. So it's just an open mount. Anybody can join the 4/3 consortium. So some of these features like focus stacking won't work with an Olympus lens or a Panasonic lens in the Olympus. Same thing with Panasonic, I believe. My 60 millimeter macro doesn't really work with their stacking. So bracketing is fine, but the actual stacking where the camera puts it together, you might have some issues. So, that's one of the things where you just kind of, you deal with it. You have the 100 to 400, let's say. A lot of people have that lens because we just don't have one in the line right now. So, what you have is everything works, but if you want to use Pro Capture, you're stuck with the Pro Capture High, because the Pro Capture Low will do continuous focus and it'll only do it with the Olympus Pro lenses or the Olympus lenses. So again, you get kind of stuck with a few things that don't work, but 99% of everything is fine. So there's nothing wrong with mixing and matching those. As far again as the high quality lenses, Olympus is a microscope company. That's where we started. We've been about 101 years now. It was the first microscope in Japan by Olympus, and we basically mastered creating these small, compact, high quality lenses. And here it just kind of lists some of the different lenses in our system that you might see. If you look at one of your lenses and you see what's written on there, the ED, extra low dispersion, the dual super aspherical lenses, extra low dispersion aspherical, all them different lenses they use within those pro lenses to really give you that image quality. So pretty cool stuff, man. Another great thing is the zero coatings. We have the nano zero coating now, which is even higher end. And so the coatings are what allow you to reduce the reflections in your lenses, the ghosting, the flaring. They give you better contrast, better color in your image, better clarity. So where your pro lenses shine is that you get these better coatings, right? And as you go up in the line, you're going to see more clarity, more contrast, better quality images. And that's really in any brand, right, Justin? I mean, you're going to have, like, for instance, I'll throw Canon out there. You have L glass, right? Or
everyone has their series
Sigma.
of professional glass. Yeah.
Yeah, Sigma has the art glass, right? Or
yep.
different. So there's different types of lenses in the line typically that give you your pro quality. So if you guys aren't Olympus guys, it's there's a lot of different lenses in the lines that allow that. The processor. So now we're on the TruePic 9, but a lot of the cameras still have the TruePic 8, which is it's a great processor. And it really gives you that speed on your sensor readout. It gives you your processing for autofocus, your image processing, and all that computational stuff, the live ND, the high resolution shot. It says UHS-2 card slots, so that speed read into the card slot. That's all these processors. So that's why your phones do such a great job with a lot of things. They're so fast, the processors in the phones, and so the cameras are they're working on it, getting that fast. It's what gives us everything we need. In-body stabilizer, we talked about that. So you got 5 axes, right? You got horizontal, vertical shift, you got pitch, yaw, roll. Up to 7.5 stops right now, which is amazing. And that's in the 7.5 stops, you're looking at the EM1X and the EM1III. EM1III with, like, say, the 12 to 100 lens. That gives you that 7.5 stops. Pretty amazing stuff. And if you want to see how that works, Justin, I got that right here. Gives you an idea. And music.
Yay, you shared with sound.
How's that? I got rid of it.
Oh, you can keep it. It's entertaining.
There you go. Lower it. Pretty cool though, right?
Yeah. Now there's a couple things here. Bert is still kind of commenting. He goes, "I accidentally did 50 seconds and it was acceptable. Nothing fantastic, but acceptable. I was at Niagara Falls and twiddled my f-stop by 2 stops on accident." So he's kind of talking about the image stabilization like we're talking about right now. That's interesting how it...
Yeah, the stabilizer is amazing. I mean, it
redirects it.
Works in so many different ways. Once this is over, I can kind of talk to it. It's just the music is sort of blocking out my headphones a little bit, Justin.
Okay, I got you. Bert also said...
You know what you sound like? I'll tell you exactly what you sound like.
The Peanuts character?
I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut the video. Let me tell you what you sound like. You ready? So you were sounding like... Do you guys remember, like, back in elementary school? And you'd go see, like, the ear doctor? And they would come in and you tap, like, when you heard something? And there's, like, that faint noise. You're like... That's what you sounded like in the music. It was like the 5-axis. And I was just kind of like, wait, you're over here, Justin. No, what were you saying?
I was saying
the music.
I was saying, like, Bert was kind of talking about the stabilizer. He was saying that he accidentally did a 50-second exposure with his that was
Oh wow.
acceptable. But he
Oh
says
yeah.
nothing fantastic. It was acceptable. He said that he was at Niagara Falls and he twiddled the f-stop by 2 stops on accident, so he was able to get a shot from that. And then we've got Bert Armstrong again says, my friend who sold Olympus to forensic folks used to put a tiny bit of fingerprint powder on the E3 sensor to show how well it cleans. And basically,
Oh
he's
cool.
like, sold. Because
Yeah.
people just check that out. Now, this goes back to the pro lenses that you were talking about and the lens coatings.
Yep.
John Thomas asks, the 12 to 40 Pro is one of the older pro lenses.
Yeah.
Have the coatings been improved on the newer lens?
Yeah.
On the newer, any of the newer ones that are distributed now?
It depends. Some of them have the nano coating now, which is an even better coating. So most of them still have just the same coating as your 12 to 40. It's the zero coatings.
I
But
think
they have in the last maybe couple of years improved them a little bit.
so.
Yeah.
So they're updating the coatings on the 12 to 40.
No. I mean, the one that's coming out now, I believe, is still the zero. But the lens, like the 300, I believe, has the nano coatings. So certain lenses have the nano coating, which is a better coating. So that's where you're seeing a little more contrast, a little more clarity. But no, the 12 to 40 still has the zero
Original
coatings.
coatings.
Yeah, and those are still great coatings. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And then David Black was just kind of tuning in. He goes, "Hey, great to catch the live stream. Good to have you, David."
Some kind of boring stuff tonight, but kind of fun too. I threw this in. It kind of goes through some of the image stabilizer, Justin. So kind of gives you an idea of the different modes that are in the camera, because a lot of people ask that. So again, I kind of threw a little bit of this in. I know it kind of jumps us all around, but a lot of guys ask about this. So if you guys are wondering about the image stabilizer in the camera, I thought I'd throw this on. Now, I leave mine at auto. I think auto's fine. It works really well for me in the camera. The camera's smarter than me, so I leave that. But that said, I mean, if you know exactly what you're shooting and you find that one of the other modes works better for you, that's them right there. So SIS 1, obviously that's for all compensation axes. 2 is for panning shots when holding the camera horizontally, and 3 is when holding the camera vertically doing panning shots. And then auto pretty much is everything. It pretty much corrects for you for everything. It tries to guess and does a great job. Now the movie stabilizer, that's the M that you see underneath your normal stabilizer in your super control panel. I leave mine on I believe I leave it on 1, which is where it's electronic plus mechanical, and I would leave it on, and because it only works when you're doing movie. But if you notice with movies, you might get a little bit of a jittery look on the edges of the frame, and that digital stabilizer gets rid of that. So combined with your combined with your in-body stabilizer, that electronic, it really works well. So this is another example, Justin, of the EVF, right? What you see is what you get. So, again, this is mirrorless in general. I mean, with one of the greatest things about mirrorless cameras was to be able to see your menu, be able to see what you're doing, where your focus point is, what your image is going to look like, whether you adjust your exposure compensation or anything like that. So that's always been a great thing. Am I still on there, Justin? Did I lose you?
Yeah, you're still on.
I thought I lost you, man.
No, I'm still here. I just I had to walk away.
So what happens with me is I can't see myself when I'm doing this, so I can't see you. So I lost that sound. I was like, "Where's Justin, man?"
Sorry, stop breathing. Yeah.
You stopped breathing, man. There was nothing. There was no sound. Nothing. Fast and accurate autofocus. So you're getting that now with the new Olympus cameras, right? The newer ones. You got the 121-point phase detection. Obviously the Mark III as well. This is an older slide. I mixed it up, you guys. I mixed up a little bit of everything in this that kind of went around these cameras and where they're at now. And the idea was to show you some of the history, but those slides are going to come after because they didn't blend with this for some reason. But that just shows that slide I just had is kind of cool because we forget about contrast autofocus. Like the EM10 Mark III has contrast, which is still a great autofocus. It's great for accuracy, and phase detection is great for speed. And I think we get that kind of wrong. Is like everybody thinks you got to have phase detection. And you really do. I mean, that's what your DSLRs have. It's what works. But contrast is still a great autofocus technology. So with this sensor, you have both, right? With the 20 meg, you got contrast and you got phase detection on the EM5 and the EM1s. So pretty cool. So a little summary, the Micro Four Thirds again allows for a smaller, lighter format, right? The quality of the camera is more than a sensor, and that's something that we obviously fight with a lot, right? I mean, it provides the best balance of both high quality images and portability. I think that, you know, a lot of us were bombarded with a lot of YouTubers and a lot of reviews and a lot of stuff. And as the industry gets more higher end and the prices go up and things of that nature, I think we have a tendency to push things on these formats and these sizes. And there's benefits and negatives to all of the sensor sizes and all of the cameras. And I think that's you have to look at what works for you and what works for what you're looking for, what tool you're going to use or tools are in your toolbox. And I think that, like this says, you know, the quality of a camera is more than just a sensor. It's a combination of lens quality, sensor quality, image processor stabilization. It doesn't say anything about size there. And that's because, you know, size doesn't really matter. It depends on what you're looking for. If you want the absolute best, highest, most detail, you know, I'm going to zoom in and crop and look at my image and you know, then you obviously want something with more surface area, right? More megapixels, more. But if you're looking for an all-around great travel, great compact, you know, hiking camera, something built for the elements, I think we really do a great job with that. So I've had a great time with this system, I'll tell you that much. So the lenses, going back to that, some of our technology, you guys, and we were just starting to talk about this, Justin, but the pro lenses and many of the what we used to call premium lenses that now we just kind of call EMS-WECO are dust and splash proof, right? A lot of them feature the MSC. So if you see that, it's basically for silent shooting. So when you're shooting in video, they're designed for video shooting and being quiet. We already went through this telecentric. We already went through this. And here's your zero coatings again. And here's your weatherproofing, Justin. So this is a great graphic. I wanted to add this because it does show some of the way they weatherproof these lenses. And you can see where, like on this lens here, how it shows where the different O-rings are and stuff. Pretty cool. And that's what's sealing you, man, against that rain and dust.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see you know, I know that video's long. It's almost like you'd have to do I wonder how long the video is, but there was that guy who did the stress test with the weather sealing, and I shared it on our Facebook page. He got to go to Japan and he got to talk to the president and stuff, and they basically like, oh hey, we're going to take apart a camera for you, and it's amazing what is inside those cameras for weather sealing.
Yeah,
it's just, it blows my mind.
Yeah, and one thing I love about the Olympus is I haven't personally, at least, had any issues with heat. So when you're doing some of the long exposure stuff, you know, the live comp and things like that, I haven't had a problem with heat. And it's amazing because all of these companies, that there's so much in these cameras now. They're all computers, you know, all the different boards and all the different things going on the wires. It's so amazing how they put them together. So this shows the barrels of the Pro lenses, and it just shows how they're made of high quality, lightweight aluminum. So that it's very thin, you know, it's just that aluminum, but it protects all the internal mechanisms, right? All your lenses, all that stuff. So pretty amazing. And this shows the manual focus ring, the clutch, which is on all the Pro lenses except for the 8mm fisheye and the 12-45 that we just introduced. And this is also on some of the little prime lenses we have, like the 17-1.8, the 12mm f2.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, cool stuff. I'm going to blow through this a little bit. This just goes through some of the lenses, Justin. I can blow through this if you want, but it shows some of our lenses.
We can kind of cruise through. You know, we know that you guys have been working on the low light primes, which is excellent.
Yeah, and we're the only ones now with 312s in the line, I believe.
Yep.
So then you have your more of your pros, right? Your zoom. So your 7-14, your 12-40. Now we have a 12-45 f4, which is in here. You got your 12 to 100 and your 40 to 150. So the key now is to round out the long zooms, which right now we have the Extreme Primes, the 8mm fisheye, which can be defished in JPEG in the camera, which is kind of cool, and the 300mm f4, which is an amazing lens. And then coming soon, obviously, we have the 150 to 400, which will be a cool lens with the built-in 125 converter.
And I can tell you, there's a lot of people out there lusting for that lens.
One,
oh yeah. Yep. It's kind of like all awesome. I want to do is sing the Grease song. Tell me more, tell me more.
I know. I want to know more too. That'll also work with the MC14, MC20.
Yeah,
they work with
awesome.
the 300 and the 40 to 150, the 300, and the new 150 to 400. It's pretty cool, man. The only thing they can do better is come up with a telescope, a spotting scope, so we can hook up to that. Here's your primes that we were talking about. So your 30 macro, your 25 1.8, your 17 1.8, your 12 f2. Now these aren't weatherproof, but these are fantastic little lenses.
They're tiny. They're like teacups.
They're tiny, man. Yeah, my favorite is the 17 and the 12, hands down.
Yeah.
I mean, I love those lenses, man. Just an amazing. The 12 is awesome for star. If you're doing star trails or night sky, pretty cool. Great focal length. Your 60 macro is awesome. 45 1.8, great portrait lens. And one of the best lenses I think they've made in the system is that 75 1.8. It gets forgotten a lot. And you have to stand back. You got to remember that your equivalent is like a 150. So you got to get back. But man, you get some really beautiful shots with that of models, or it's a medium telephoto. So you want to shoot basketball in a gym and you need some light. That's a 1.8. So you're really going to have that light coming in.
Bert says he never leaves his home without his 75.
Yeah, Bert, that's one of those lenses that I hate to bring with me. It's a solid lens, and I'm like, I'm not going to use it, and then I always miss it when I don't bring it. So that's a great lens. You always know which pictures were taken with that lens when you look back at your images. It's amazing, just amazing. And I learned that. I took a friend of mine back in New York, plays hockey on a league, and I went out one time to shoot him and his buddies playing one night to try out different lenses when I started with Olympus. And I brought a bunch of different lenses, and I'm shooting, and every shot of them with the 75, I'm like, whoa, the color, the clarity, it's just amazing, that lens. They nailed it.
And that's exactly what Bert just got done saying. He says it's so sharp.
Yeah, they nailed it. The 9 to 18 is a great little lens if you want an ultra wide. That's it's still the old design. That's an older lens, but it's still a great little lens.
I would like to see a rehash on.
I would too. I'd like to see something in that range that's a newer version.
If it were a solid, if it were like 7 to 14 and a solid f4 and weather sealed, and it was like $7.99 all day long, or $8.99 all day long.
Yeah, because it is an expensive lens, about $6.99 for that lens, but because of the wide angle and all that. But it's a cool little lens. I always forget when I have it or when I use it how cool it is because it's small. 14 to 42 EZ, obviously the pancake little lens is pretty cool, and the 14 to 42 R, which is both pretty much the same lenses, just one is that electronic zoom. That's what EZ stands for. So when you turn it, it zooms electronically. So great for video. That's what that's designed for. So the 4150, that's the plastic fantastic on the left, right? That's the one that gets you out to 300 millimeter equivalent, and you can throw it in your bag, and it's lightweight, and it's $100 when you buy a camera. It's almost a no-brainer, And then the 75 to 300, which is still a great lens for when you have the light. It's a nice little lens to have, to get out there, to have that nice zoom range. And then the all-in-one travel zooms, the 12 to 200 and the 14 to 150. I guess you could throw the 12 to 100 in there as well, as far as the pro lenses go. But that's basically the presentation there, Justin. And what I just wanted to show you guys, because I missed it, was
some quick history.
And this is just a couple of slides, but I thought it was kind of cool. It was from a presentation in 2007. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So it was an old Olympus presentation, and I thought this was kind of cool. That they were a premier lens manufacturer. They started creating microscopes in 1919. And look at that thing. That's why I wanted to show it. And then they were later to become known as Olympus and will become a world leader in microscope technology. The first camera came in the 30s. It was the Olympus, what was that called? The Semi-Olympus, I believe that was called. and it was interesting because it was unconventional, so it was different. And that's the thing about Olympus, we've always been different, and that's one of the things that drew me to the company when I came over, is that they always seemed to sort of ebb and flow, and they were a little different than what everybody else is doing. And it's what's kept them going all these years.
Especially in their OM design. I mean, that
Right there.
they have the shutter and the aperture, like the shutter's right there on the lens mount.
Yep. So that was
And
right there for you.
So
Yeah.
it was always at your fingertips, and I always struggle because I want to go up to the dial and change it, but it's really I just move forward and backward, forward and backward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about the OM1 and the Pen F and all that, but the OM was designed by Maitani, which was one of our great designers. And in our history of our camera division, Maitani was just a really revered guy in the company. They loved him, and he really brought this passion to the design of our cameras. And I mean, people are still buying the OM, right, or the Pen, or the little stylus there. And so he was actually the XA1. That was him. And so the OM was actually named after him. That was the Olympus Maitani. So not many companies, if any, ever name anything after their designers. And so as far as the Japanese companies, so that's how much they really had respect for this guy as a designer. And we still follow his philosophy today. And that's part of the reason we went to the OM Digital, the OMD, was because it's the Olympus Maitani Digital, right? We went back to that small, compact design of the OM1.
Nice.
So, and then this is the last slide, but I kind of like the way that they set this up, probably for the mirrorless when it started. And it says in 2003, Olympus created the E1. And I remember this, the world's first pure digital camera. New features, technologies, and lenses made Olympus a brand to be reckoned with and taken seriously. If you doubt these words, look at what the competition has done this year to their technologies. Does it resemble what Olympus has done? If so, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. And I look at that and I think this was 2007. So this was probably like a PMA presentation or a dealer presentation. And what I love about it is it just shows that they were so proud, of coming out with the mirrorless. And I got to tell you, I remember 2003 for me. I was in New York City. I was a salesman for Fujifilm. And I remember going into some of my dealers in Brooklyn and them showing me this camera. And I picked it up and I'm like, wow, it's such a great camera. And it was different. It had a different look, a different design. The E1 was a really cool camera, man. And it was different. And that's what I love, again, about Olympus. They're not afraid to take a different step. So very
You want to know what I was doing in 2003, Mike?
What were you doing, man? You were just born?
Graduating high school.
Oh, wow. Well, for me, that was 91. So
yeah.
Yeah, I really like some of that old stuff. And I had a slide, you guys, that had a timeline, but I couldn't find it. But just wanted to show you, some of the different things going on. John said our broadcast is buffering a lot tonight.
That could be on John's end because I've been fine. I've had a pretty clean stream.
I know we're having
good.
we're having a lot of storms over here though too, John. So it could be me too. I think there's something weird with the bandwidth on some of these programs. I've been seeing it with WebEx because I've been using that. And sometimes people can see me, other people can't, and it's been frustrating. But I think it's just that digital thing. It's not perfect. So.
And Bert, real quick, chimed in and said, my first Olympus switch from Nikon was an OM2 in 1975, and he had to wait 5 weeks for them to be released.
That's awesome. What a great history.
And I've got the OM1 at home, and I've got the OM2, and it's great camera. David Black says great history summary, and I love the lens summary.
Thanks, David. It was kind of a jumble tonight, but I wanted to get you some stuff out there, and we could discuss some things. So, take a look at Def Leppard. Def Leppard, the 45 for photograph. It's the OM1 on the 45 cover. Yeah, it's cool.
And Bert says great info as well. And this was kind of like the moment you've all been waiting for kind of thing. Like we had this presentation kind of set up because we've got like this big drum roll. And John is saying our feed is looking better now. So it could just be, but the big drum roll is...
I'm excited about this, Justin.
There's a huge announcement. Like this is now I have been thinking like who this really applies to. Yeah. And a lot of the people who are viewing may already have these lenses or camera or cameras.
Right.
But this is something that's perfect for somebody who may be watching who is an entry level user, like an EM10 user, and you don't have any lenses beyond the kit lens,
That's right.
or you're an EM5 Mark II or Mark III user, and you just have the all-in-one 14 to 150 lens, but you really want to get into the other pro lenses and maybe upgrade the body. This is a huge deal that Olympus is just, it's crazy. It's crazy what they're doing,
And you can always tell your friends if you have somebody that's getting into the
yeah,
system, and you already have it. This is a great deal. By the way, I just want to mention that I'm using the 17 millimeter 1.2 tonight
yeah.
because I'm blowing your bokeh away.
Well, thanks a lot. I think your background is a lot further away than mine too. I mean, mine's like
Not that
mine's
far,
like
man.
not
It's right there.
mine's not
Here.
even like a foot and a half behind me,
It's right there.
and it focused right away.
Yeah, it's those vloggers. They complain about everything. I'm like, I'm right there, focusing. Great. So, at any rate,
Anyways, the biggest news of the hour is
so we
what,
have a new promo going on.
Okay.
And the promo started on the 1st of June, so it started a couple days ago. It goes until July 5th. And,
so a whole month, a whole month.
A whole month. And it's really a promo that's designed for sports and birding, for professional sports and birding, or somebody who just wants to get into the system in a professional way, right?
Yep.
In a high-end way. And basically what this promo allows you to do is you buy 3 lenses, right? You buy 3 lenses, the 7 to 14, the 40 to 150, and what is it? The 40 to 150, 7 to 14,
And the 300.
300 millimeter.
Yep.
And you buy those 3 lenses, and you pick a camera.
Which
And you
camera,
get-
Mike?
You pick the EM1X, or the EM1 III, or the EM1 Mark II, and you get that for free.
It's insane.
So that's basically what you're looking at.
Yeah. I mean, the EM1X is great, and if you want that, like, if you don't have those lenses yet and you want the EM1X, like, that's the way to go. But, man, my money's on that EM1 Mark III, man. I love that camera.
That camera. I know, me
And
too.
I wish I had one. I've got friends. Tim Bonnet has one. My buddy Mike Pollock has one, and they're out shooting.
I'm torn, man. I love the X. I really do. I've been shooting it a lot, but I love the 3. It gives me what I need in the X.
But it's the size.
The X, I know.
It's the size.
I know.
It's
I
really
like them
just.
both. If I double the lenses.
But that's the big announcement, guys. Is that now? There's other promos going on for the month, right? Just standard instant rebates.
There's other
Okay.
great rebates on the lenses. There's great
Okay.
rebates on the body. We got $600 on the EM1X. I mean, there's
Wow.
some great rebates going on. But that is like if you're getting into the system or you're stepping up in the system. I mean, I've never seen that. Like,
That's
buy
a stellar
3,
deal.
Get a camera for free.
Yeah, and
I'll
yes,
tell you what we got going on.
that's a big investment. But what is that? Doesn't it tell you right there on the paperwork how much that is?
Yeah, you end up spending $5,799.
Yeah, just shy of $6,000. But I've seen people do that with like, oh yes, I need that lens, that lens, that lens,
And they're
that lens.
$8,000-9,000. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they need the body, and yes, they're getting the instant rebates to boot. But this gets you, you're one lens shy of all the lenses that you would need. So like the 12 to 40 or the 12 to 100 would be the only thing that I would add on to that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that gets you a really great system. I mean, really great shooting opportunities, and then you can add on like the 2x teleconverter for, what is that on sale? Is that $379 still?
The teleconverter is. I can tell you right now. By the way, there's 600 on the EM1X. There's 200 on the other bodies. The Mark II has $500, $1,199.
Wow,
it's a great deal.
Yeah.
So right now, there's a lot of good promos going on. We sort of held off on our promos a lot. They were going, but with everything going on with the shutdowns and the COVID, and we really sort of as a company, I think, stepped back a little bit and said, let people breathe, man. But now we're starting to hit it a little bit, and that's a great promo, man. I gotta say. So you're talking about the
2x, the MC20
2x converter. Yeah, the 1.4 converter is $299. There's a $50, and the MC20 there's a $50. You're $379.
$379.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, you're only adding, you're still probably going to be under 5,800, right? 5,800 if you add that to it still.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that gets you 160 to 600, and then you've got the 600 millimeter that would push that to 1,200 millimeters.
Here's another cool promo we got going on. We got a step-up promo, which is really cool, man. This is so you buy an EM5 Mark III, right, mid-range, EM5 Mark II, an EM10 Mark III, EM10 Mark II, or an EPL9 pen. And if you buy a 25 millimeter 1.8, it looks like, oh, it actually has, it's a step-up kit. It has the 25 millimeter 1.8, the camera case, and an SD card, and it's like $199.
And
it's a $235 rebate.
So you're getting that for free, or
no, you're getting the kit that's normally $435 for $199.
Oh, so $200. So yeah, you're getting $230 instant savings. Yeah, so $200 you get the add-ons.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. So a couple little things going on for the month that are pretty neat. But really, that news of the Pro, like buy the 3 lenses and get the camera for free. I mean, it's unreal.
That's where the money's at, right there on that promo, because that's that camera's, especially for the EM1X. I mean, if someone wanted the EM1X, that's a great way to get into that. But again, my money's on the EM1 Mark III. That's the perfect size for a lot of people. And what that's normally $17.99 regular price.
$17.99, and right now there's like a $200.
$15.99.
Sorry, I'm on the wrong mouse. I got 2 computers going, Justin.
No, that's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, the Mark III is a $200 rebate. It's $17.99, so it's $15.99 right now.
Yeah.
You're free.
So $1,800 for free. I mean, you could count that instant rebate and really call it $1,600, but you buy it by itself, it's $1,600. You buy it, and you're basically getting $1,800 for free. So still, that's north of $1,500.
Bert said he's saving up for a Mark III. I got to tell you, Bert, it's an awesome camera. I mean, it's another one of those Olympus sleepers.
Yeah.
I got to say, like, it came out, and I was like, all right. So. I love the Mark II. Like, there's a few updates. It's great. It's amazing. I mean, it really is. The TruePic 9 is great.
It's an EM1X Lite. That's what it is. EM1X
It really is. I mean, the trickle down of some of those features and that TruePic 9, it just totally won me over. You know, I love the X, but I picked up that Mark II one day before the 3 came out, and I have that little. I always tell everybody that ProMaster grip that goes on the L bracket.
Yeah, the L bracket for like $50.
Yeah, I get rid of the L and I keep the bracket on. It gives me a little more for my pinky, a little more of a grip with an Arca Swiss all the time. And I picked that thing up one day and I'm like, oh, and then I started shooting it like all over again. And so the 3 came out, and it's definitely a winner, man. It's a great camera. Yeah. So nice little camera.
Well, cool. Yeah, David
Thanks,
Black
David.
said he loves his EM1 3, and he was also saying that his first Olympus camera was an OM1 back in 1972.
I saw that. David's been getting some cool stuff too.
Yeah, it's like, hey, David,
great stuff, David.
If you ever have to part ways with that OM1 stuff, you've got a collector over here who would love to have some lenses. I'm just saying, this guy in Muskegon, he, I don't need anything given to me, but if you
I'd like to get a Pen F, to be honest. The old Pen F. I have a Pen F digital.
I could have purchased one.
Bert said he had. Me too. Bert said he has the handheld high res and the Star East focus is what's torturing him. I got to tell you, man, it's not just that, Bert. It's the Live ND neutral density. Yeah, it's really cool, man.
You took some cool shots at Point Betsy when we went up to Point Betsy for the first time. You took some cool shots of the water during the day.
Just zooming in on the water with the handheld with the neutral density.
Yep.
And it's just such a cool feature because, again, it's kind of like that tripod thing, right? Like, there's sometimes you just don't want to carry a tripod, and you go out hiking or something, you just don't want to bring it. Maybe you bring your dog, whatever. The built-in neutral density is the same thing. Sometimes I just don't want to carry my filters. I have the ones that slide in.
Or spend $1,000 on a filter system.
That's it too. But I don't want to carry my box of filters all the time. There's times I go hiking specifically to shoot, and I would do that. But there's times I just want to go out there. And, man, this neutral density is awesome. It really is.
And Bert still has. He says he's got a couple OM1s and an OM4. Like, I've got an OM4, but it's in rough shape. It was a rose titanium one, and
Yeah, look, Justin
I'm
trying to
looking for
get you to
those.
give him an OM4.
Yeah,
I'm looking
yeah.
for those. Look,
For all you Olympus Film guys out there, if you don't want him to, if you don't want to
uh,
take him with you, there's a guy out here who would love to.
David,
And
I have the OM to Micro Four Thirds adapter. I don't have the Olympus one. I believe it or not, I had started with Olympus,
it's like Kiwi or something,
and
right?
I don't think they make the OM to Micro Four Thirds Olympus anymore. I don't think we carry that anymore. But at the time they did, and I didn't realize. And I went out and bought. Actually, I bought the Metabones. It has a tripod mount on it and everything. Yeah. So, and I'll put my OM lenses on. It's pretty cool. But Justin has more than me. So if you guys have any OM lenses, there's a collector here.
Well, hey, I fell in love with the cameras, and I got my OM1. I got re-leathered. It's got some nice kind of like this
Yeah, they
nice
did a great job.
this
Yeah.
nice cadet blue leather on it, and it's sleek. It doesn't look distracting. I did an OM10 with
Yep.
a red leather, and it looks like an ugly Lego brick. I'm gonna have to tear that off and have that redone. But I've got an OM2. I'm happy to have like two OM2s.
Yep.
I've got an OM4 that needs a lot of love. But I love those. I mean, it's like a 135, like a 135 F2 or something. It's just really nice, dude. I took some cool shots of Kenny when we were in Chicago, and they're
Yeah.
beautiful. They're beautiful, man. So it's just fun. It's just a fun camera. It's a fun camera system from top to bottom. I was showing a gal today who came into the store who shoots film, and I said, hey, you got to feel the shutter release on this camera. And I let her feel the K1000. I said, do you feel that? It feels like a guillotine just going ka-tunk, you know? and then I said, you got to feel the AE1 because it's just like buzz, buzz. It's just like this
Yeah,
little
yeah.
this like slow motor sound. And then I said, now this is not an OM1, but feel this OM. I think it's an OMG. The OMG
Oh, the
is
OMG, yeah, yeah.
it's okay. I said, look, you can tell
I've
that the
seen that over there. Yeah.
you can tell the mirror action is kind of a little clunky, but feel that shutter when you press down on it.
Yep.
And she, we wound it up and she shot it. She's like, oh yeah. And then like she wound it again. She's like, oh yeah, yeah. So I said, if you love that, the OM1 is just, it's butter, baby. That camera is just
Yeah, it's
so
amazing, right?
awesome. Yeah, it's just so
It's
awesome.
cool how those cameras just keep going, man. They keep
Yeah.
going. It's just awesome. But yeah, I love my OM1, so
Yeah,
I picked
me
it up
too.
a few years ago. It's amazing. So I mean, I grew up with a KS Super Sears, which is like a Ricoh, you know.
Yeah.
But so having that later on is really cool. But but I don't shoot them as much as I'd like. You know,
Yeah,
I still shoot.
need to get mine
I
out
hate
too.
the opposite here. Like my hat's crooked. I can't figure out what side it goes to.
I know what you do. You flip out your screen and have it face you, and
Yeah, that's a good idea.
everything's in the right way. So like right now I'm going to the right, and
Yeah,
I'm
we're
going to the left.
backwards, you guys. So we see ourselves backwards on the screen.
No,
so
no,
it's-
I don't because I have my screen facing.
Well, you
I have
do,
my,
but I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you
Yeah.
can fix it. Just rotate your screen out so you can see yourself.
I'd rather be backwards. It's okay. My
Okay,
left is
well.
here, my right is here, yeah, whatever.
All right.
So at any rate, so I guess we're pretty much finished tonight. But
yeah,
we'll be back
that's
next Wednesday.
that's a wrap. Next
know?
Wednesday,
Yeah.
and we'll let you guys know we can't schedule another presentation. We can't schedule with StreamYard for another day because we need 7 days, and today is still technically +8. So we'll have that up as soon as possible for you guys. If you guys have any suggestions for Mike and I, leave them in the comments below. We want to know, like, we want to talk about what you guys want to learn about. So if you
Yeah,
guys have any
want us to hit something
suggestions,
specific, or even if you want me to show you
Yeah.
how to do something, let us
Send-
know, and I can, we could definitely get into that. So
yeah, send us a message, put a comment down in the feed below.
Yeah.
We're going to have a live presentation coming up. Not a live presentation, but we're going to do a coffee or a virtual coffee with Olympus with you here soon, Mike.
yeah, next Friday.
Next Friday on the 12th.
Yep, and I'm looking at if it's okay, I'm looking at 4 o'clock. I had to
Okay.
bump it a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine. That should be fine.
So, and we're looking at doing what did we have to pick what we're going to do? I believe
Yeah,
I was
we'll
thinking
figure it
either
out.
time lapse or I was thinking function buttons and custom functions.
I think custom
So-
and function would be nice because that gives people it's like a graduating thing. We can get to the specialty
Yeah.
thing, but the custom functions and stuff helps people kind of get a little bit more familiar with the camera.
Yeah, so we'll do that. So next Friday, 4 o'clock, we're going to do about an hour, and it'll be a WebEx,
Yep.
and it'll basically be a function button, custom function. Yeah. Yeah, we
And
could do
that'll
that.
and that'll be an RSVP event on our Facebook event page. So you guys will see that information at Camera Shop Muskegon Facebook. So if you just search Camera
Yep.
Shop Muskegon, and the other one would be our live stream next week Wednesday at this time at
Yeah.
6 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah, Bert says Zoom's a great option. We were using Zoom as a company, Bert, and then when they had those breaches where they were taking people's information and all that, my company pretty much went
Put the
back to
kibosh
WebEx.
on them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know they had a new update where it's
Yep.
supposed to be a little bit better. So
Yeah, I think they
I've
short.
asked if we're going to go back, but
Yeah, I
nothing
think
yet, so.
they think they shored that up, but it's just one of those things where until they do get it, until the security passes, kind of like the who's
Yeah.
who, then it's just better to stick with what you know.
Yeah, FL700 features.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could, except I don't have one with me. But I could probably get one.
Yeah.
But you might have one, Justin. And we
I
can maybe
don't.
go. I mean, I could actually do I could do a PowerPoint on it. I could just
Yeah.
do a presentation like that.
Yep.
Yeah, if you want me to hit some of the FL700 features or some of the Flash features, I could do that.
And Bert, you can't strong arm us, man. You don't mention anything confidential. It's like, hey Bert,
I
if you
know.
want to, hey Mike, if he wants to send me some of those cameras, we might be able to funnel out some information, right?
Well, next week, yeah, that's what we're gonna
Yeah.
do. We're gonna funnel out stuff we're not supposed to talk about, Bert.
Yeah, or that we don't know about. Like, Bert, save your cameras. We don't know. We just don't have the information. As much as we would love to, we're still in the same position you are. So
Yeah, I could tell you that definitely there's as Olympus has said, we're doing cameras and lenses every year, so we're still.
oh, he meant with Zoom. I thought I'm sorry, Bert. If you if yeah, you don't want to mention anything confidential. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the thing is that they're
Yeah, I
security
actually
breaches.
we just started doing it. I really like that platform, and WebEx
Zoom is
okay.
nice.
I mean,
Zoom is nice.
There's a couple of things that are a little different that I don't like, but it works. It's okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is what
Well,
it
and then
is.
you can record things and save them. So, eventually, right?
Yeah, we do our best. But yeah, just to go back to what I was saying, since I took you the wrong way, yeah, I mean, Olympus is definitely committed to coming out with some lenses and cameras every year, and we're going to be doing it. So, but yeah, let's do the next week the flashes,
Yeah. Okay.
which I do have that with me. But I'll do a presentation that just gives you some of the key points of the different flashes in the system and stuff. We could definitely do
cool.
that. So, all right, guys.
All right.
So thanks
Hey,
for joining us.
Thanks for joining us, guys. If you guys have any questions for me, I'm here at the Camera Shop Monday through Friday, 10 to 4. Give us a call, 231-733-1286. Our website is up and running, so you
Nice.
can go visit us at www.camerashopmuskegon.com. That's CAMERASHOPMUSKEGON.com. And I thank you guys for tuning in and joining us. If you guys have any questions, don't be shy. Just give Mike or I a holler. And
Yeah.
in the meantime, enjoy your wonderful evening and enjoy
Have a
the
great
rest of your
evening.
week.
Yeah, and guys, like I said, if you have anybody that you know that's looking to switch to Olympus for birding or for professional sports, pass along that offer. I know a lot of you guys already have the system, but as you know from being in the system, that's a great deal. I mean,
It is
so
a stellar
somebody who's
deal.
looking to, especially if you're switching over, and a lot of guys that are birding are doing that. You sell off your old gear and you buy new gear. I mean, what a great deal. So
Yeah.
definitely mention that. We appreciate it, you guys. I appreciate you all, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds
So-
good, guys. Have a good night.
Have a great night. Take care, guys.